Privyet. What's up, everybody? This is the boy, your boy, the professor. How are you? I am doing well. I am feeling inspired. I just watched Brothers 2. Um, I've watched it twice, um, just to kind of help me understand it. And sometimes with foreign films, even though I've seen them, sometimes I get them right, sometimes I get them wrong. And when I watched Brother One, I guess just Brother, um, and we see him bail out his brother, and he kind of frees him from the Bratva, and you just see him in the truck, and he's kind of going away. I don't know, to Siberia or wherever he's going, and it left us with a lot of questions. It left us with a lot of questions, but I really kind of felt in Brother Two like they answered some of these questions. We see that one of the things I thought that was really kind of like amusing to me is in Brother One we see him um, kind of cutting through that video where he has a problem. He has a scrape with the security guards, and he gets into the fight, and he comes home and he's eating cereal, and his mom's telling him, why don't you go see your brother? Your brother kind of has it going together, kind of has it going on. He has it together. Maybe he can help you get your life on track. And what we see is just the opposite. We see the one brother who had it all together is at home eating and watching his brother on television. And he's being interviewed with the army buddies from the first Chechen War. And I couldn't tell, did they write a book or something? I don't know why they were being interviewed like that. But now we find out. The first Brother film, he was just a clerk. Here he's a veteran of the war. He seems to have some soldiering skills, some assassin skills, and it's like, oh, that kind of makes sense. So we see that, and we see the cut scene to the bathhouse where the three dudes are all hanging out, drinking beer. I remember on my VK days, one of the dudes, and I don't know if it was if it was Max Wolf, that that effeminate guy that runs around YouTube making comments. I don't know if it was him, or somebody was talking about the bathhouses. Like, oh, don't worry. Once the professor comes to Russia and he sees the bathhouses, he'll want to stay. And because there's the drinking and the women and in a bathhouse here in America. I have no idea what you're talking about in a bathhouse, right? And what I saw pictured in Brother Two, and my legitimate Russian friends, correct me if I'm wrong on this because I don't know, right? What they showed in the Russian bathhouse looked kind of skanky. I mean, like, I was sitting there thinking, how many people got MRSA? That's what I was thinking of, just sitting there. I mean, because you had, like, basically you're swimming naked. Is that right? You go into a public bathhouse and swimming naked? Because it wouldn't look like a bathhouse, like in the sense of, like, I'm going to go there and take a shower, right? I'm going to go take a bath. It looked like it was a swimming pool and sauna where you just kind of hang out. Do they not have swimsuits in Russia? Is that you just go there naked? That seemed a little weird to me. And then you had the like you could get crab. You're eating crab legs and drinking beer in a bathhouse. So it's probably more like a country club. In America, this would be more like a country club, I think, where people who have money like to go and get away from those who don't. And so you're surrounded by everybody who has money. And you're able to sit down and, play golf or, sit around naked in a sauna. I don't know, man. The professor ain't down with sitting around naked in the sauna. I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me. But maybe I misunderstand something. Maybe you guys have a better understanding of what this is or not. But I remember seeing that scene and thinking about that dude. Like, there's nothing appealing to me about that. Like I don't know. I think I would rather go like hang out in St. Petersburg. I think go walk the streets, see the sights, try the food, that kind of thing. Anyways, so we see this thing kind of unfold, and we find out that in the course of the movie that one of the dudes is playing two roles. He's got a twin brother, right? Which is always fun to see sometimes. Sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's done like, oh, that's terrible. and he is a hockey player from Russia who gets invited to America to play for the Blackhawks. And he goes and he plays for the Blackhawks. And this is where I started getting kind of excited because I'm from the Chicagoland area. So I know the Blackhawks. You know, that's my favorite hockey team, of the Chicago Blackhawks. Um, it was fun to see the Sears Tower. I mean, because eventually we're going to get the crew over to America, and to see them in the Chicagoland area. And it was like it took me home. It made me smile. I mean, I haven't been back to Chicago in 20 years, and it was fun to see that in shots, like Russians in there. So we find out that the Ukrainian mafia. I mean, this film's going to be loaded with some political stuff here that I think is worth exploring as we go on. But the Ukrainian mafia has gotten to him, right? They have gotten to him and this hockey player, and they're putting the squeeze on him. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Well, he does what any good, immigrant does. He turns to the mob. He turns to the mob for help, like American mob. He turns to I think they refer to him as an entrepreneur, but he's a mob dude. So he turns to somebody with bigger guns and bigger muscles for help, and he says, "Yeah, sure, we'll help you. Yeah, but you're my slave now. You're my slave now." And so they just kind of just rip this dude off left and right. And what's he gonna do, right? And word gets back to his brother in Russia about what's going on, and things aren't setting well. And you know what? He's got these army buddies. They can take care of it, right? He knows some people, and so you kind of see them in Russia doing jobs and doing things. And there was a sequence where our character goes in and confronts the businessman. Right, he's got the machine gun with him, and he puts the machine gun under the desk, and he jams it into his knee, and he makes a point, and then the woman walks in, and he's like, "Oh no, yeah, okay, it's fine. You go back to your thing." And the guy's like, "Somebody call security," but he can't say, "Somebody call security," which isn't happening. And we have the heist, and we have the chase, and they have that machine gun where the bald brother's like, just killing everybody, dude. It was great. It was great to see, and but now it's time to get out of town. And we all know if you're Bratva and you're on the run, where do you go? You go to America. That's the place to go. And so we see them come over to America. Oh, and there's one interesting thing here, and I want to ask my Russian friends. Our character meets that woman, right? He's in the video shoot, or he shows up, and he meets the pop singer, who apparently is a real pop singer, or was a pop singer. And is she the same one from the first movie that we saw take her shirt off, and we just saw her back up against the wall that he got into the fight over, but now he's dating her? Is that right? Is that what I'm seeing? Because if that was, it was kind of a cool turn of events. It was kind of a cool thing to kind of come around full circle. So we see that, and we see the relationship, and now he's got to go to America. And he gets to America, and he buys a Cadillac. He buys himself a Cadillac, and he's going to go cruise the roads of whatever as he's trying to stay on target. And we see his brother in America, and his brother, dude, is out of control. He's public drinking, which is not legal in most states. Louisiana, it's legal. They have open container laws. Arizona, it used to be legal to drink and drive. It used to be legal. Matter of fact, we had a whole cottage industry here in Arizona of drive-through liquor stores. So you could drive your car up to a drive-through window and say, "Hey, I need, give me a 12-pack and whatever," and off you go. Now it's not illegal, or now it is illegal, but you can drink. You can have open container if you're not the driver and you're 21. So you can ride shotgun and drink. Shotgun is American term for sitting next to the driver. You're not in the back seat. So we see him, with the cop. The cop comes up to him like, "Hey, what are you doing? You can't be drinking." He's like, "Get out of here!" Like, just so hilarious, dude. Just so hilarious. And we see the Ukrainian mob, right? And we see our character stay on mission, right? He's going to stay on mission and finish this. He's going to soldier on. And, we see him get out to, I think it's Pennsylvania, and he breaks down in the Cadillac, and he hooks up with a truck driver. and he has limited English, but they become good friends, and you see him kind of going through the whole thing, and he's going to stay on target. He's going to stay on target. We see him meet a character named Dasha, who's being controlled by the Black Pimp, and that gets resolved, right? You know what I'm saying? That gets resolved, and then him and Dasha end up coming back to Russia. Now, there are some things here in the film that I think are important to talk about. There was some comment made about, you'll pay for sevenfold, that you'll pay, and it was kind of there's like anti-Ukrainian propaganda going on in this film, which I found is interesting. Like Ukraine to me seems to be a very much a kind of a messy proposition. There's all kinds of issues, I think, with Ukraine, and I think America, that would be a great place for America, I think, to use her influence. I would love to see us go into Ukraine and help settle this out, that there'd be peace and get to the bottom of it. Some of you are upset with me because of things that I've said about Ukraine, and can I just mention to you that the video that's going on in the closed VK group is not accurate. It's not an accurate translation. I've had somebody look at it and say, what are they saying? And it's not what I said. And I have the original, and maybe at some point in time we'll get it translated, but it's not it's not accurate, right? But Ukraine is a mess. It's what we would call a hot mess. It's complicated, and I know both sides are very, very passionate about their position. There are some on the Russian side that are so passionate that they're the truth about it. I got a series of videos of crucifixions that weren't true. And that was early on, before I really knew anything about Ukraine, that I was like, what? That's terrible. These people are evil. And then you find out it's not true. It was all fabricated, right? And it's like, well, what else is fabricated, right? What else it is? Different videos. So we see even back then, Ukraine is such a hotbed for Russia, and the geopoliticalness between the two of them. So that was interesting to me to see. We also kind of see a shot at America. I think we take a look at this idea, and I don't think they're wrong in what they're doing, how they're showing America. I don't think it, even if it's done with ill intent, I don't think it's wrong. But I've heard this from my line of work. I deal with a lot of immigrants. I deal with immigrants from, boy, oh boy, Mexico, the Middle East, Europe, Russia, Asia. And a lot of times, and they're small business owners, and some of them are very successful, and some of them are still trying to figure out how to do it. And one of the things that they talk about is this imagery that they see of America, and then they come here, and it's like, oh. And America is, I think, is probably a very hard place to blend into, right? It's very dog eat dog. It's very driven by work ethic, by the English language, by money. And if you're coming from another country and you don't have the work ethic, it can be a difficult place, I think. Because there aren't, here's one of the things I'll share with you as an example. When we were talking about coming to Russia, one of the things that struck me is the amount of holidays that Russians get. It's a lot of holidays. And the Russians would say, well, why don't you come out for this holiday or that holiday? And in America, you don't, we have holidays, but a lot of times,